Welcome, everyone, to a Delco Nerd Network Hot Take. Guys, if you haven't seen a Hot Take before, well, it's where a few friends get in a basement, give our thoughts, give our opinions on a TV show, a movie, or a game. Today, it's going to be a movie, and that movie is Thor, Love and Thunder. I am Anthony Ragucci, and with me, as always, the triple threat, Chris Trio.
Gooch, we're back again.
We are back again, 3 in a day.
3 in a day.
You'll be able to figure out which three by what clothes
By
we're
what
wearing.
shirts we're wearing. So,
Yeah.
be on the lookout. Thor, Love and Thunder. Gooch, give me your hot take.
Yeah, it was kind of mediocre. That's my hot take.
That's it?
Not that that's it, but my main thesis of my mediocre is Thor Ragnarok worked. Let's do it again.
Sure.
And they did that, and I don't think it did work. And I think they did the same approach for Thor 1 and Dark World. Hey, Thor 1 kind of worked. I think people liked it.
Oh, yeah, I mean, yeah, absolutely.
And they did it again, and it didn't work. But it didn't work really hard, especially in time. I think Dark World just gets worse and worse if I watch it again.
Sets and stuff in that are great, I will say. If you go back and look at the actual set design and like the physical, I think those are really good. But
yeah, and I think this, and it's just like I feel like everyone in this movie is Thor's humor. It's like Thor's talking to like 4 different versions of himself.
See, I think it's Thor talking to Taika Waititi's humor.
Good point.
That's but I'm sorry.
And because like Valkyrie, I think is one of the officially worst written characters in the MCU. Her dialogue is horrendous. I think Tessa Thompson should be ashamed she had to speak some of those lines.
Okay.
Like
what was she did? Like what?
Jane Foster gets those. Natalie Portman gets some of those, but she is in a very different place and it makes sense maybe why she's trying to act like Thor or emulate Thor and maybe be a little bit jokey because she has cancer and she's dying. Spoiler alert. So they're doing the lady, that character arc from the comics pretty much to the T, almost. You were saying?
You don't think this lines up with how she was in Ragnarok?
Not at all.
I mean, I feel like
she
it's
was
the exact...
staunchy, really cocky, not as
but
jokey.
Still funny, still making jokes and crack. I don't know. It felt like the same character to me.
I feel like the writing was just different.
I don't know. Yeah,
she's more written like Thor.
Sure.
Like her humor and their lines sound like they could be coming out of Thor's mouth. I didn't think like Valkyrie in Ragnarok sounded like Thor.
I see what you mean.
They were both different people.
I'm picking up what you're putting down.
Yeah, and like not Meek. Korg is whatever. Korg is Korg. I'm not even gonna give him a whatever. It's Korg. That's it.
Sure.
It's Taika Waititi just being himself.
Sure.
But yeah, I think there are some really good parts of this movie. Like the second the second half of the movie is fucking phenomenal, and we get some really cool closure with some really cool moments that we kind of just were almost just kind of tossed away, and it's like, oh well, they don't matter. It's like, well, now they do. We're kind of recontextualizing some stuff there, and yeah, but I think Gore was really underutilized. That was really sad to see. That I really wish Gore rivaled Thor a little harder. Like he was really out to get Thor.
I wish there was just more, like you're saying, more of him. Right. I think his characterization works really well, and I every time he's on screen, I love what he's doing.
Terrifying.
And the way he's terrifying, and his silhouette almost looks like he's like a skeleton. Almost. There's one scene when he's kind of going, yeah, it's really cool.
Yeah, the robe definitely sells that.
And I just would have liked to see more of him. But for me,
what are your general takes? What's your hot take, Trio?
It washed over me. It just kind of washed.
You seemed higher in the theater. That's interesting.
And so I will say,
I
enjoyed. Don't get me wrong, I enjoyed it a lot. But thinking back, I couldn't remember a lot of what happened.
I remember
there's a few major scenes where, of course, I really liked what they did with Thor. But I just the more I thought, the more and Jane and all that, I felt them two together really works well.
Yeah.
I just felt like. Yeah, that's the best way I can put it. It washed over me a bit.
Okay.
This is, I think, and again, maybe that might be worse than it being good. I don't know. I don't.
It's probably worse. I would say.
I just wish this is. I think a kind of example of exactly. This is an example of maybe that fatigue, that Marvel fatigue that we're talking about in the way of when Taika Waititi came in and did Thor Ragnarok. That was
revolutionary.
That was a shot in the arm,
right.
which the MCU needed, and I think he is an amazing director. Thor needed. And Thor.
I would say more
so Thor
than the MCU.
But I also do think it was sure, like other MCU movies were jokey, but this literally lent into being a comedy. And I was fine with that, considering I really love Taika Waititi's style, and I think he does well when he's doing what he wants to do, and I feel like he definitely wants to do Thor. But this time around, like you're saying, we did it again. It just didn't strike the same chord because it wasn't new. It was good, and I really enjoyed it, but it wasn't this like new thing for me.
And that's why when I came out of the theater and I said Taika Waititi has to go, he's done.
Yeah,
we can't do another one of these. It's going to be even worse.
But then what do you? Because if you don't get, I disagree. I don't think it's necessarily that, because like you can't just go back from this now. This is what Thor is.
You can just get a new. No.
Like tone wise, I guess
you just get a new director.
But if you're doing that tone, he's the best one to do that. In my opinion,
we've been proven wrong before. We can be proven wrong again.
And that I'm saying as of my outlook right now, I think he does comedy so well.
I think could they have pulled in the Russo brothers to do the next Captain America? Yeah, but did they? No, they're not. They're pulling in the guy who did the Cloverfield Paradox movie.
No, it's true.
You know,
is he the guy who did the? That's not a good movie.
I want to watch it.
You should, because it's kind of funny. There's a man with worms inside him, but it's not a good movie.
Yeah, that's that director.
Yeah, I don't know. And, I just genuinely, at the end of the day,
I don't mind seeing New Blood. He's not New Blood.
No, of course not.
Cloverfield Paradox is a pretty not acclaimed movie, but well known, I feel.
Yeah, people know the name. Yes. Yeah. Overall, I love Chris Hemsworth in this role. I do. I think he is. You can tell he's having fun and he enjoys it. He's never the issue. Every time he's on screen, I have fun. I loved the costumes in this for the most part.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't love
Thor's suits really shine.
I wish he kept the first one that he had. I didn't love the blue one, but no, I don't mean the first one in this movie.
When it was black and
that
gold.
One's cool.
Yeah.
But the one at the beginning where he went to see the big, like it was like when he first changes, he has like this kind of leather guard on, it's all black. He has the two things. He has like Nordic fur up here.
Yeah.
I thought that was the coolest one. But overall, I think world design in this is great too. I think it all pops. I think
just as good as Ragnarok.
Exactly, and I think that's what's really well done. And locations wise, and I feel like we're going to these kind of broad, cool places. I do love the jokes. I know not everyone's going to be about that, but like when you go, this is what Thor is at this point. If you're in or you're out, you're out. You know, and if you don't like that, that's fine. I get it. But this tone does work for me. But I don't know. I don't know what I would change about this. Maybe I just felt like the plot was very secondary to what was going on scene to scene. Like, of course, we're going.
The main core was really not the main plot. It was Jane.
That's what I mean.
Jane's, I want to say conflict. It's definitely not the right word. Jane's dilemma is what is pushing this movie forward.
Did you like how they handled her getting the hammer and stuff? Like, did you think that was too quick?
It seemed a little unearned.
Well, it seems
she just shows up.
Well, it's a little quick. I thought it was a little quick, but I did like kind of the idea, that kind of flashback scene of him literally talking to Mjolnir, and he's like, "You need to watch out." Like, and I like how they've made Mjolnir and the things like these sentient kind of things.
I will agree. I do like that, and I really liked how they filled us in on what happens, I guess, between Age of Ultron, because they're still together in Age of Ultron. He talks about it. So between Age of Ultron and this, there's
definitely some makeup being done.
Yeah, and I don't mind it. I think it's good, because I didn't not like them together. Obviously, the reason they broke up was because Natalie
just didn't want to come back,
left the role and did not want to come back, so they wrote her out.
And she was really apparently upset after they fired Patty Jenkins. Like, she was very excited to work with her, and then you might know this, but that last scene in Thor when he goes to kiss Jane, it's not her. It's his wife. Yeah. As a stand-in. I think their chemistry was amazing.
I think it was good too. I really like how the movie is just kind of like the love and thunder of it has like a few different meanings, which I thought was cool. And we'll get to the love of it, the second meaning of the love of it later. But the first meaning of it you know, it's about Thor like really not being over a girl, and that kind of like coming to a head, and it's interesting that they decided to even bring it back up.
I think this is Marvel's first romantic comedy.
I think you're right.
Right?
Yeah.
Like it is. It's like it's a rom-com in a way. Like, and that does work for me. Again, elements of this really work well, and I didn't come out I enjoyed it. Like, spectacle-wise, I love the scene with Zeus. Russell Crowe was chewing the scene, and I love it.
Yeah, he was a bit better than I thought he was going to be.
And just seeing, like, all the gods and...
That looked like Easter egg heaven.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun, and I think that's what Taika Waititi does well. But would I like to see more of a... I don't even know what I would like to see more of. A villain... I just would have liked to see more focus on gore in this, genuinely. I think that's where it was... That's my biggest gripe. But I do like how they do lean into the fun of Thor and how he enjoys doing this. And that scene where he powers up all the kids was fucking awesome. I loved it.
Yeah,
like when he
really
imbues
good.
all their stuff with the power of Thor. So much
Temporarily.
fun. Yeah, that
for a limited time only.
So good.
Yeah, I think it was really good.
Yeah.
We kind of find out that Heimdall has a kid too, and it's interesting that he's like moving away from his Asgardian name and finding like an Earth name,
like a human name, yeah,
right,
like
to fit
name.
in, maybe a little bit more. Which
what was his name? Artemis, right?
Astrid.
So they definitely didn't mention. That's probably a bit of a retcon. I feel like they don't.
There's
mention
no
him
mention
at all.
of him having a
But
wife.
again, why would he necessarily not? So that works.
Right.
Yeah,
Right. I'm fine with that.
Mm-hmm.
The way they explore Thor and Jane's like relationship, I think, is the really interesting part of this movie, and how it really pays off. And like, you know, it kind of, Jane gets her final oorah, and she does die in this movie. Spoilers. And they
do you think she's gone though?
I hope so.
See, I would have said that if they didn't show her in Valhalla.
See, I'm fine. I think that was just kind of a cute thing to do. At the end.
I hope so, but I think they're bringing her back at some point.
Okay.
Unfortunately, no, that's just my guess.
And
I don't know.
I like how they really took from what is that run? Is it the Lady Thor? What is that run?
The Mighty Thor.
The Mighty Thor, yeah, which she does name
yes,
herself in the movie. So they really take from that Mighty Thor line, and they do pretty much exactly what it is.
And that's very recent. Like that's like 2014, maybe.
Yeah,
2012.
And then, Jane becomes Thor because she has cancer, and being Thor causes her cancer to essentially accelerate while she is Thor.
That's the one part that didn't necessarily make sense to me, just in the way of how like you would assume that would cure. Again, I'm not getting hung up on it or anything. It didn't like bother. I was just like, wouldn't that like?
And
heal
some
her?
of her themes when like she's back in the hospital bed, like before the end, like she looks
they do Marvel
badly good.
They have that
or
like
goodly bad
effect nailed down. I mean, remember Tony in Endgame when he's like all sickly? Like that looked really good.
Yeah.
No, that was an interesting. I like the idea of her having cancer and kind of getting like I did feel like she again was more jokey compared to her character before, but I kind of
the situation kind of
she's trying to be positive.
Sure.
I feel like I take that as that, and that's an acceptable thing for me. And she's enjoying being Thor. She's enjoying helping people. I thought her introduction was great. The whole thing with her camera splitting and like being able to use the shards was awesome. Did they do that in the comic? I think he just becomes unworthy. And the hammer's just sitting there.
The unworthy plot line is really done in the first one.
Yeah.
I mean, it's definitely not the same thing, but
No.
it's essentially that where, he becomes unworthy, and then by the end of it, he becomes
worthy
worthy
again.
Because in this, it's not that he's unworthy. He just, it's because of that spell, that charm he casts inadvertently on it.
Absolutely.
On Mjolnir.
Well, but that's Odin, right? So I'm wondering if how did that work? Because Odin says it to the hammer and then throws it down to Earth. Did it always have that, or is it like
maybe? I guess
interesting.
Maybe he just didn't realize what he's what he's saying was being taken seriously by Mjolnir. And Stormbreaker, really funny. I liked how
it's like this love triangle. Yeah, like when it's like coming around the corner, really slow. It's like, oh hey, what's going on?
Again, like there's good use of humor in a Marvel movie, but when Valkyrie's talking about like whatever the fuck she's talking about, and they're expositing very like, we got to go do this to go do that. This is how we're going to do it. Okay, let me crack a joke and play she really like didn't fucking that fucking what's that song they play on the fucking, is that a hand grenade? No, it's a speaker. Like what? What? Like what?
Like did that really bother? Like
it was stupid. Yeah,
but
they lingered on it.
But this whole movie is stupid. Like I don't know. Like that doesn't like I hear what you mean, but like this is the movie especially that I'm not caring about jokes at all. For the most part, I do think there are scenes that could have done more with more levity and more taking seriously, and we didn't need a crack joke at the end. But that gave me a chuckle.
Like the scene when they're on that planet that's black and white, that was really cool.
Really great.
Yeah, really cool.
Again, CGI in this was great. They used the volume for a lot of it too. They had to because this was shot during COVID. So a lot of that is CGI. But it's funny because in the trailers, I felt like some of it looked a lot wonkier than it ended up really looking in the movies. I do think people are hard to a degree, which is just hilarious, and maybe rightfully so on Marvel with their CGI, and like they do love to pick it apart to no end when it looks really fucking good.
I think the CGI looked good for the most part. I don't think
Jane's helmet looked really good for being all CGI. I will say that. But
Heimdall's wig, that's a different story.
Looked like it was eating his head.
I was like, who did I ask you? I was like, was that a wig? Was it Jane?
Oh, Jane. Yeah, she was definitely wearing a wig. Because her brown hair was her natural, then the blonde was the wig.
Yeah, I was like, is that a wig? And you're like, it's a wig. Mm-hmm. But Heimdall definitely had a wig on. I want to say, I was going to bring up Eternity, but I really want to save the end for the end. And then
yeah.
Actually, the end.
One of the goats were one of my favorite parts. I really enjoyed them. I loved them.
They were screaming a little bit too much for me.
They kept it just enough for me.
I was like, all right, I'm
done with the scream.
I meant to bring up, did you feel like the audio was low in our theater? I had a hard time hearing.
No, I didn't. Not that like stuck out to me.
Yeah, maybe it was. I was like, is it the sound mixing? Like some of the dialogue seemed low.
Yeah, no, I didn't notice it.
Okay. The Guardians. We got to talk about the Guardians.
Of course, yeah, we only got a little glimpse.
I was really surprised how little of them there actually was.
Yeah, I kind of I don't know why.
Batista doesn't even have a line.
I think he might scream. That's about it. Again, I think it was just kind of one that was that bridge. You know,
and
we saw him
Star-Lord
go
isn't even in like a suit.
No, he's in like his at the beginning he is, but then he takes it. He looked a little out of shape, and I think that was on.
He looked thin, like not muscly, like thin in his face.
I felt like he was working with a pretty big gut, and he looked pretty fat to me.
No, yeah, I thought his face looked really slim. Maybe it was his beard accentuating sort of his sculpt.
I think he was. My best guess is they were making him look.
His beard.
I think he was looking. They made him look raggedy like that on purpose. To be like, I think that's kind of a setup in a bit for Guardians, where he's a bit lost without Gamora, and he wants to find. And he seemed a bit more less together than he normally is to me.
I don't know if I picked up on that, but I don't not like your observation.
You see, like he just seemed a bit more like his beard was grown out.
We've never seen a Star-Lord like that.
Like you can see that it's there, like his regular one, but you can see where it's grown in more.
He's like shaving and sculpting his beard.
And I don't know. I think that kind of was trying to speak to where his character was at.
Nebula seems really mad.
Yeah. Again, this wasn't a Guardians.
We got some lines from Rocket and then Groot.
The money that just keeps rolling in for Vin Diesel after recording for probably an hour.
And then they were just doing some very like low level Guardian shit, which is fine.
I still am wondering who that main alien was. That blue guy. He looked so familiar to me, and I just couldn't get it. The main king person. But I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, it's okay. Yeah, I did think I like the Guardian stuff. Like we got the intro with Gore and sort of him losing his daughter is really his main driving point.
Sorry, I was trying to get on IMDb.
Yeah, it's okay. It was his main driving point to doing what he's doing, and that's not really how Gore is in the comics. He loses his family, but his family does not matter that much to his
like goal, like of killing it. Like why does he want to kill them in the comics?
Because they kill his family.
Oh, so
it's the same thing. But like, there's a lot of emphasis on his daughter in this.
Yeah,
and it's just his daughter. There's no wife. I think in the comics, he actually has like a whole family, like a normal family.
Yeah, it sucks. I do feel like they missed a trick not having the symbiote sword. I know they can't probably because they don't own the thing, but like,
for all intents and purposes, it is it. It
kind of was
without being named as symbiote sword, the Necro sword.
And he was like I liked how he was using the shadows with it and all that stuff.
Yeah, I really like the use of the sword. Like I feel like it's like one of those things where like the sword is like sort of like Sephiroth, larger than life, like literally, and the way he like holds it.
And he's like using two hands to fight with it almost and stuff.
And he's holding it down and like it's always on the ground and he's like, looking like whatever this is.
Yeah. No, dude, Christian Bale. So good in this. I mean, not that was a surprise, but he was definitely. I felt like he enjoyed being there.
What'd you think of New Asgard?
I liked the idea of it being turned into this kind of tourist trap
for sure, and which we saw in the trailer.
Yeah, which we did.
That wasn't like new.
I loved the current day like SWAT style Asgardian gear.
We both like turned to each other and we were both like, "That's cool."
Yeah.
We don't really see them.
No, but there's like in the background of a couple scenes.
And we get to play again with Matt Damon and the older Hemsworth
Chris
brother.
Hemsworth. I can't remember his name.
Whatever.
He was in the he played him in the last one too.
Yeah.
And then also Melissa McCarthy as Hela. I knew that was coming.
Wasn't that when she came out? I was like, wasn't that Did we know that?
See, I know I feel like I heard it on Mr. Sunday Movie. So it's funny, but before Thor Ragnarok, I was listening to his podcast, and he'll get like random people that will write into him from like sets, and like he'll sometimes do a pitch, and he was like. And he read off one of them, and it was like, yeah, so there's going to be a fake play with Thor and Loki, and Matt Damon will be the... And it's funny because it was nowhere, and then they were like, "No,
is this during Ragnarok?"
This was during Ragnarok at the time. Okay. No, and they were like, "Okay, whatever." Like they were joking, and it actually was in the movie. But no, that's great stuff. Fighting. I said this in the theater. One thing Taika Waititi gets, I don't know if it's who he brings on or if he does Thor's action so well.
I did like the action too.
That first scene when he's taking out everyone, and I mean, I love the split kick when he's taking the fucking
Jean-Claude Van Damme.
So good. He gets the Thor battle so well. I don't even know how to describe it any better. But I'm wondering if that's like Marvel stunt guys that they keep in.
I think it is,
or like he's like directing too. But
I think it's kind of both. More Marvel,
probably a middle. Yeah. I mean, dude, that Ragnarok scene when he takes them all down on the bridge is still. And it just starts playing.
It's just kind of more of that for sure.
Definitely, yeah.
I'm trying to think, like we talked about Jane fighting and her hammer kind of coming apart. Like Valkyrie, I didn't.
Weren't a fan.
Again, yeah.
What'd you think about the kids subplot? Like it was kind of. I kind of liked him interacting with them.
I thought it was kind of cute.
Yeah.
It made sense. That he would I
like how he
the Asgardians are technically all gods, even if they're not. All
not as powerful.
Gods.
They all seem to live that long. Yeah, I guess Asgardians themselves even too, right? Yeah, that's what you're saying. Interesting. I didn't think about that.
Not just like the pantheon
of the people,
just like the normal Asgardian, the working class.
Did you
Asgardians,
exactly? Did you like seeing all the old gods, the other gods and stuff?
Yeah, we really get introduced to the other. I mean, of course, we get introduced with the Egyptian pantheon with Moon Knight, but with this, we're getting introduced to the Greeks, and in the post-credit scene, we get Hercules, who is played by the guy from Ted Lasso.
Oh, really? I don't know who that is.
That's what he's from. Brett Goldstein.
Interesting. He looks like Thor. He looks like Hercules.
I hope that's his fucking name because that sounded really.
I said this to you after the movie, but I was like, imagine if that was Henry.
It is Brett Goldstein. I was right because it just sounds like stereotypically Jewish. I just didn't want to be wrong.
I was in there and I was like, Gooch, what if that was Hercules or what if that was Henry Cavill playing Hercules?
I would throw up. I would have thrown up. Could you fucking imagine that?
Because he would have looked great. I mean, in that whole outfit and everything, he would have looked perfect.
So for those who don't know Hercules in the comics, he's a good guy. He's not an anti-hero. In DC, he's an anti-hero.
Yeah, because he has something to do with why the Amazons live on their island, I think.
Yeah, anyway. But yeah, so I guess, I don't know where they're going to introduce Hercules, if not the next Thor movie. I would love to see Thor go up against other gods in a movie.
That seemed to be what they were setting up.
I think that would be.
I was really surprised Russell Crowe was still, or Zeus was still alive. Honestly,
yeah, that was weird.
It was interesting.
Well, that was cool that he killed Zeus.
No,
weird
I thought that scene was awesome.
I guess they're gods, right?
Yeah. So I guess could Thor survive a lightning bolt through the chest? I don't know.
Maybe. I guess Loki survived.
That's true. Well, but he will usually just use like a hologram or something. It wasn't usually him getting actually stabbed.
Yeah, true.
But still.
Yeah, but I'm looking forward to see what they do with that. I think that would be really cool, and just introducing other gods into the MCU, just not in a more
meaningful way, rather than just you're seeing them in a temple or something like that.
Right, because there was a lot of goofy shit in that arena thing with gods. There was Bao from the fucking.
Is that the dumpling thing?
The dumpling short.
Yeah, the dumpling god.
Yeah. I was like, oh, okay, that's funny. I don't care about that at all because that's what it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
But yeah, there were Thor start dropping Quetzalcoatl and
you see all the Aztec gods,
all these other gods. I'm like, yeah, I mean that's something we really haven't explored in the MCU. Is which they are canon to the comics, all the other gods and what they are.
So, but
looking forward to that being the next one.
There is a weird, interesting wrinkle there though with the Eternals and being because Athena is on there, but then Athena not only must actually exists, right?
Right. Not only the Eternals, but also the what are they called? Celestials.
Ah, yes.
Which we do see two of
I caught them right. I was like, ooh, there's Celestials back there.
And you see them again when they leave.
There's specific colors, so they might actually be like ones from the comics, but I don't know.
Yeah, I think that's a great move for a sequel. And there's another part of that possible sequel, which we will again save for the end. I'm trying to think of what else I want to talk about. Oh, all right, you might roll your eyes at this, but I feel like I wanted to bring it up. And there was a lot of controversy in the trailer about Thor being naked and them using his
bare ass.
Right, but them using the, like if you were to objectify a woman for being sexual, objectifying a man for being sexual, and they linger on that scene with his butt and like just him being naked.
Because Gooch, it's okay to objectify men. And that's what. Listen,
I think it's just wild for the fact that they leaned on it for so long, and I'm just like, really? You won't. Not that we need to objectify women in movies.
Where are my boobies? No,
but like the fact that they do it and for so long, it's not like a quick thing. It's like we're oogling
Gucci,
Thor because of his cock. We're oogling Thor because of his dick.
Yeah, when you say it like that, it is really
like
rough.
That's what it is.
No, and it's not even that they sit on his ass. They sit on the women, like being like,
right.
Oh, and it is funny. I will say,
it's not that fact that
doesn't annoy me.
No, like, right. I'm not annoyed by that.
Yeah,
I'm just calling it out because it's a double standard.
That's a fair thing because it's an absolute. I mean, the amount of those that unfortunately exist.
Right, and especially for women, and they do that for men in other movies too. That's like a classic thing.
It's fine. It is what it. I actually thought it was a funny scene. And I thought it worked very well.
But it's just the fact that they decided to do it, and it's Marvel and it's Disney.
Well, but I mean, even if you think about most of men's like dudes superheroes, their costumes are objectively objectifying.
Oh, for sure.
Like even more sexual than most. Like, sure, girl. I will say, like, there are some insane comic book outfits. Like, if you go back and see, like, the '90s Mrs. Fantastic, she's in like
all the X-Men.
It's hilarious. She's like in like thigh-high boots with the 4 is cut out so you can see like her tits. Like you can see
the X-Men comics, Savage Lands, when they're all in like their ripped up uniforms and all the girl. Like that's a very famous comic. Like Rogue is.
But I mean, it is true. No, and that's a fair thing to point out.
But I just wanted to bring it up for the sake of like, I am not offended, but the fact that they did it is very interesting.
No, but that's just, and you're right, and it shows you, but that just shows you the dichotomy of where we're at.
We have
because we're not going to get
Zeus's let's call them courtesans.
Yeah,
oogling Thor's cock.
Yeah,
and then everyone else has seen.
I probably would too, but that's a different story. No. You're right, and that's a fair thing to point out. I think, unfortunately or fortunately, whichever way you want to look at it, men don't care as much.
Right, we don't care.
Like that's not something that's sticking out to. Nobody. Like, why are they? They only care, and not that you're wrong for caring about that. Like, if you do, and women, of course, have been objectified throughout like that's not okay. But like, we are fine with that, with men getting ogled, because we don't care, and because we have whatever had the upper hand in certain ways, whatever. But there are many of those out there.
Yeah, like imagine if it was the other way around and like Jane, it happened to Jane.
And we see her nice ass.
It would be a fucking
shit show.
Controversy.
Yeah.
So the fact that it isn't because it's a dude is a double standard.
And it's something to take note
of. They do tease it with, it's like, oh, like, let's reveal these guys. And I'm like, no, which is fine. I thought it was funny because of the obviousness.
No, again, it works, but I think that's a fair hypocrisy to point out.
It's a very fair take.
Yeah.
And nobody can contest that.
No, absolutely not. Love and Thunder?
Love and Thunder.
All right. So, at the end, I thought, so we get to Eternity.
Really cool looking, by the way.
Very cool.
Looks like, not a reference you'll get, the final world from Kingdom Hearts 3, which is essentially the same thing, just a plane in the middle of like a big cloud.
It reminded me of one of the like
Soul
Dark
World too. Yeah, it's the Soul World, but like a different color.
Yeah.
Which makes sense.
Oh, well, no, and also it reminded me of like, I can't remember which Dark Souls, like one of the boss arenas, I can't remember if it's maybe it's a Bloodborne.
The Nameless King in Dark Souls 3.
But it's like, it just, like, you're in this like kind of foot deep water and it just expands forever and it's just white around you. I'm trying to remember. I feel like that
the Vacuous Rom and Bloodborne.
Might be it, yeah. So, but no, I thought that was really cool, even just the way that Eternity looked, like it was like looking, it was a person but looking into space.
It was like, we see it in a, I guess when he picks up the Necro Sword, he sees it. I thought it was like almost like, is that the Living Tribunal?
Yeah, no, I thought that too. No, because the way, I thought that made sense to me.
It's Eternity, who is a character in the comics same thing.
Yeah.
Like, I guess is like the middle of the universe or whatever.
Seems so. And he apparently grants any wish to the person who finds him. And yeah, I kind of thought it was going to go the way that he was going to wish that Jane's cancer was gone, or like that she was healthy at the end there. But then I don't know.
I knew he was going to wish her daughter.
No, I mean that made sense after he did it. But then like so Gore gets there, and I kind of like that they kind of talked out the end instead of just having this big fight, and it was kind of a battle of words. And he's like,
yeah,
do what you want. Like they have that kind of punch up there, but that's not what ends it. It's Gore wins.
Yeah, they have the fight with all the kids before that.
Yeah. And Gore wins, he gets there, but then he kind of realizes the folly of his ways, and he decides to bring his daughter back instead, who is played by Chris Hemsworth's daughter, actually, which was a good call-out.
India Hemsworth. So I guess the goal was he was going to wish that all the gods were gone, but yeah, wish for his daughter back, who is played by India Hemsworth, and then Thor adopts her.
Yeah.
And her name is Love.
Yeah.
This is not a comic book thing at all.
No, it's brand new.
There are canonically daughters of Thor. Scorn is one of them. Thor's daughter.
Yeah.
Like, there are versions of Thor's daughter. They're multiverse characters. They're not, like,
They're not usually mainstream, yeah.
Right. You're not, like, seeing, like, Thor impregnate somebody and, like,
yeah.
The whole thing. It's usually, like, here's a kid from the multiverse or another universe. It's, like, that's where it's usually come into play. But this is not in any comics.
Completely new.
So we are in new territory, and we get to see, like, I don't know where they are at the end.
It looks like they might be on Earth, just like I couldn't tell either.
Like,
maybe they must be on a different planet.
No, they're on their ship on some alien planet, and they're kind of having the typical father-daughter.
He's making her pancakes.
And she's really good.
She's awesome.
I mean, obviously it's her dad.
So so it makes it a little easy.
Right,
yeah,
and I'm sure they played into that relationship. Just like, okay, like how, like maybe we're not going to write this. Maybe we'll just
go with it. See,
with something. Okay, like the food is the constant, and maybe we'll start by talking about the food, but just go with it. And
absolutely.
She talks about like her boots and stuff, and like got to put on like the boots.
It was a nice little heartwarming moment.
And she's using Stormbreaker, and he's using Mjolnir,
which is great.
Love and Thunder.
Yeah, I love it. And again, I love it.
It was really like touching.
It was.
I thought Thor is now being taken in a very different direction.
He's a papa.
Yeah,
he's a papa.
Any other Avengers or dads besides Tony Stark
here.
for 2 seconds?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
No, this is the first.
Well, 5 years. It's not 2 seconds.
Yeah, but like it's not shown.
Sure, on screen.
I mean, and like congruently. Like, Tony Stark has a daughter who is in the MCU, but she is, irrelevant until they decide to do something.
Until
with
they
her.
decide to make her relevant.
Morgan Stark. So he is like Ant-Man with his daughter, but that's before he's Ant-Man.
Yeah, that's part of his character from the get-go.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is just completely, while he's in very deep into being an Avenger / hero, has a daughter. So yeah, I wonder how they're gonna play that in the sequel with involving the other gods and Hercules. Maybe he's like, it's gonna be far down the line from this, I imagine. So maybe she'll be a little older. They'll be able to work in. With that a little bit, and I'm fine with that.
Absolutely.
But again, hey. That's even a better reason to get Waititi out and get a new director in.
Why? That he set this up. I can't get with him.
See, like, why are you so against that? Because there have been different directors for...
Because this...
Why didn't Jon Favreau direct Iron Man 3?
Because that wasn't his style. Like, because his style wasn't so different that, like... It wasn't so unique that you couldn't get someone to come in and replicate that. I don't think you can have someone to come in and replicate what Taika Waititi
I'm not asking them to replicate it. I just think they need to...
But they
can't do it again.
See, the tone isn't the issue, I guess, here for me for the most part. It's just the story is
it's not. To me, it's the writing. The writing is the issue. The writing of the comedy of some of these lesser characters is just so fucking pathetic.
Yeah, that really didn't stand. I don't know. Like, I'm just surprised you focused on that so much. Like,
Valkyrie really got me
because she felt like the exact same character from the last movie.
Oh, I
don't know.
And I liked her being king. I thought that was cool.
Sure,
like that she's king of Asgard. Like, I'm fine with that. But she just sounds like such a dumbass.
Yeah, I don't know. Didn't stand out to me like that at all. Personally, I think and
between her, Thor, Korg, who we forgot gets blasted in his face.
That's the one thing I kind of wish he did die there.
Yeah, I kind of wish.
I wish that would have just been like not because I don't like that character because I do a lot actually, but I think it would have been a nice like true moment of like that's where the levity comes in. That's where
I really liked the moment on the boat, and it kind of reminded me on the scene between when when they kind of like air their dirty laundry for the first time, instead of just being awkward around each other, they talk, and she tells him he has cancer and she doesn't really know how to say it, so she just kind of says it, and he's like, what?
Yeah, like wait, excuse me?
Like thinks it's kind of a joke, and then like she doesn't really know how to say it. It's like cute.
It is. Again, their chemistry is great.
It reminded me of, this is a real poll, in Tron Legacy, when Korra and Sam have a conversation on the Solar Sailor, and like Jeff Bridges' character, forget his name off the top of my head. He's like in the back doing whatever, but they're just together having like a moment in a void while something is traveling to a destination. That's what it reminded me of. Sure. I was like, this is like the same scene.
Yeah.
That's like, it's like,
I love it.
Yeah. So I really like that scene. Like like you said, and like we've been saying, their chemistry is great.
Works well.
The writing there is good. Why is the writing with the lesser characters not good?
I don't know. Again, I don't think that they were very much different personally, but
I'm definitely putting this at a mid-tier movie.
Yeah, I'd say high-tier movie for me.
Okay.
It's definitely not a film. No, I mean
definitely no film.
I would say Ragnarok is a low tier film for me.
Yeah, I would have to mull that over. I'm not gonna rate that.
That's fair.
I think it would either be a high tier movie or a low tier film. I think I would more towards high tier film.
Sure.
Or sorry, more towards high tier movie. Not high tier film.
Gooch, is that all the Love and Thunder we have to talk about today?
I think so, man. Let's wrap it up. It's been a long day.
Fantastic. It has. Guys, thank you so much for watching with us live on twitch.tv/Delco Nerd Network. We very much appreciate you being with us. You can find this podcast anywhere they're found. Search Delco Nerds. We are on all the social medias. Delco Nerds, basically on everything. We got a Facebook page. We got a Discord channel. That is all linked down below. You can find this podcast on our website as well, delconerdnetwork.com, and you can shoot us an email at delconerds@gmail.com with all your comments, questions, or concerns. We'd be happy to get back to you. And guys, if you can drop us a review on one of your favorite podcast apps, or like, or subscribe, any of that really helps, goes a long way. But for Gooch, I've been Trio. Thanks for watching, guys. Stay nerdy, and we will see you next time.